Hey guys, it's Lisa. Welcome to my first MateCon class. Yay! It's the last one for most of you today. Thank you for choosing mine to be it. I hope you've had a wonderful MateCon so far. I've been watching a couple of the videos. I watched a little bit of May May's this morning of her card class, and all of us can always pick up new tricks. I really enjoyed that. And Brenda, Brenda is Brenda. I watched her make the most beautiful fall card watercoloring stamps. It was awesome. So if you didn't have a chance to join in on those videos, you might want to go back and watch some of those. Especially if you're a stamper, you can really pick up some really good tips. Hey, Terrence, how are you? Thank you for joining in my class. I've heard so much about you and John. I cannot wait to see what you think about this photo flash box. Mom's coming in, Nancy. Hey, guys. My mom is Ari, so you'll see her name on the screen. And Kathy Champion's probably going to join us. She's also going to be moderating for us. Before we get to the 3 o'clock hour, we're just going to do a little bit of chatting. We're just going to make sure everything is good. So somebody please let me know that you can kind of hear me well. I'll try to talk up, but you absolutely going to need to turn your volume up for me. I'm not a loud talker, even though I love to talk. I don't talk loud, and May always gets on to me for it. My voice doesn't carry. We do need to do kind of a roll call. So if your name pops up as you're saying hello and it's a different name than what your ticket name is, like if your name is Miss Stamper, but your name's actually Connie, let us know that, please. We just want to kind of take a roll if we can. I'm so glad to see you. Hey, Kathy. It's good to see you. Ashley. Who else? I see Tammy. See Terrence again. Oh, great. Thank you, Terrence. Terrence says he can see us and hear us. That is wonderful. I am not ashamed to tell you that we prayed over this equipment before we turned it on, and God is good. Okay, so if you've never taken one of my classes before, I want to tell you a little bit about my background before we get started. We've still got about 7 minutes or so before official class time. So if you're just coming in, you have not missed a thing. We're just sitting here chatting, and we just wanted to make sure everything was good. I'm going to stay on my face for a while, and in a minute I'll go down to my second camera where you can see my hands and my face in the corner. Kathy's saying yes, he is. Oh, Margie Miller, glad to see you. Miss Gail and Connie. That is so great. And so I'm going to throw Kathy's up on the screen. I love that feature. Can you see it? Oh, not yet. I'm 20 seconds or so in front of y'all. But it'll show you what Kathy said. It's wonderful. My daughter bought me tickets. Oh, for Christmas. How sweet, Denise. I love that. Hey, Miss Connie, big hugs to you back. Okay, if you don't know who I am or my connection to May May, I'll give you a little bit of background information. We are from South Alabama, born and raised. We moved to Central Alabama in the Clinton area when I was 12 or 13 years old. It was traumatic for me, leaving all of our family behind. And my very first friend was this lady right here. Anybody recognize this? Isn't that a great picture? So this is probably about 3 years after I met May May. Of course, I knew her as Amy then. And but these pictures are in the same time frame. I think you can see me here and my Letterman jacket and her. And so this is her and I a few months ago at her shop. You see that? The last Made It Con that we did, you having questions or anything? The last Made It Con we did, I showed a picture where May May was in my wedding, and she got on to me for that. But it was a great picture. Maybe I'll get permission to show that one again. But she has always been such a good friend to me. And so 5-6 years or so ago, we made a connection again over scrapbooking and crafting in general. And so she was very kind enough to offer me a teaching position in her store and online for to teach at MadeItCon. Do I need to set up your computer again? Don't panic. Okay. It's not quite 3 o'clock. Give me 1 second. Let me set the computer up to my side again. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. All right. Not to worry. So go over to Google Chrome. Just double click it. Okay, go to YouTube. And then it's already on you, so hit this one right there and go to watch later. And then click on, as soon as it pops up, don't panic, just you may have to click it again, double click it, so it's doing it now. So let's go down to photo flash box. You have to scroll down.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Lisa.
It's all right. Just double click it. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. That's why we got here early. Sorry, y'all get to see my craft room. I am very what was I saying? I'm sorry. I am very blessed to have a whole room full of scrapbook stuff. Even my closet's full of stuff. I started scrapbooking when my child was just a few months old, and now she's 22 with her own 6-month-old. So we've really enjoyed scrapbooking together. Sorry about that. That took a little break, but we got her up and running. You're good now? Okay. Let's see. We're about 3 minutes until 3 o'clock. I'm going to change the camera view and kind of show you the project. Let's see. Is there anything else we need to say? If you have questions, please ask. My mom's in the room. She's going to help me moderate. If you've never been to my channel, you're now on my channel. So hit that subscribe button if you want to see some more videos from me. I'm going to have to move my notes and stuff out of the way. Okay, here we go. Let's move to... there we go. Hi, I'm so glad it's all working. Picture in picture. And on my desk here. So this would be what your kit looks like. I've already just kind of taken it all out of the big package, but it's kind of all here together. Congrats on the grandbaby. Thank you. And this is the project. I've got mine sitting, of course it's laying down, but it's sitting in one of these stands. And we're going to be giving some of these stands away coming up. So stay tuned for that, right? So when you take the lid off and you take this really cute gnome tag out, this is a very unique scrapbook or way to put your pictures in. When you pull this up, it's going to cascade out like this, and then in between all 6 of these dividers you can put photos. So you can put at least 12 photos in here. If you did photos front and back, you can put one on your tag. So anyway, we'll get started in just a second. It's right at 3. Are we doing good? No questions or anything yet, maybe?
I don't see anything.
Great. So we got all my little chit chat out of the way so we can get started right at 3. This class is probably going to run the whole 2 hours. Sorry if you want a short class. Yay if you're excited about getting your money's worth. And but we might not get to every single step of the 6 photo mats that I just showed you one of. But this class has been recorded. I worked as hard as I could for 2 hours without questions and got every single bit of it done. So all of my 3 classes actually for MadeItCon have been pre-recorded. So you will get those links next week from an email from the Maymay group. So I'm just going to kind of move this out of the way, make sure everything's still good. It is 2:59. We're going to get started. Everybody seems to be good. Awesome. Wonderful. So take a look at what's in your kit. You got this really cool Tula and Norbert set from Photoplay. It's a full pack. It's got all your stickers in it. And you also have the full thing of ephemera. And don't let me forget, I made a card on my channel with exactly everything I had left over after making this project. So if you want to make a card, that's the impossible card? No, the never-ending card. You could make one exactly like it because you're going to have all the pieces left over. Good? All right, just going to take everything out. Keep your little black pieces together. Flip them over if you haven't taken them out, and they should be pretty much in order. I'm going to kind of keep mine in order, move my bag out of my way. There we go. These are the 2 things that I like to do to get started. I have this cheap little drawer insert from Office Depot. It's like an 8x9. I use that every time I craft, and I use this every time I craft. It holds spice packs like chili powder and stuff. So I'm going to take my tags, everything here, put them in here. I'm going to put my little pieces in this one so that they don't go missing. I'm going to open up my ephemera. My phone's going crazy. It must be Group Me. Everybody's chatting in Group Me. I'm going to open up my ephemera. And I'm just going to put those here where I can find it. This is a really cool pack. It's got punch outs and some of it's punched out for you ephemera. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but it's kind of neat, and there's some really good pieces here. I'm not going to keep that for now. Okay, so I'm going to kind of put this out of my way because all we're going to need right now is the black pieces and our cutting guide. But I'm going to go ahead and open everything up and make it ready to go. And what I like to use is I got this thing on clearance from Michael's a long time ago, and it holds 12 by 12 paper. And I just put my paper down in there, and since it's vertical, I can flip through it, so you'll see me flipping through that on the side. Whoopsie. I'm trying to drop it. Okay. So all I'm doing is I'm getting my space cleared. I'm going to get my pack of black. Y'all can all thank my mother, who's the moderator. She cut and scored every single one of these for you. And help me with this cutting guide. So go ahead and get out your cutting guide. The other things you're going to need for this class is on the top, the paper trimmer. I know you're going to use your scissors and pencil. Might not need the bone folder and scoreboard. We've probably mostly done that for you. You're going to need some double-sided tape and some way to cut that tape. I like to use what is this? A stamp block, an acrylic block, because this one has like a sharp edge. This is how I like to cut my tape. I'm using 3/8 of an inch tape. You can use anything less than 1/2 of an inch. Anything 3/8, 1/4. If you're using millimeters, 6, 8, or 10, all of that works. Just don't use 1/2 inch. Anything less than that will do. Of course, you can use art glitter glue, but it's going to get messy in the construction phase. And I'm going to use art glitter glue as we go along and get to the matting. I'm going to be using Distress ink in black and just one of these ink. What's that called? I don't know. It's an ink thing. Yeah, an applicator or something. Ink blending tool.
Right.
Anyway, okay. I'm going to turn over to page 2. If you like written instructions, you're going to love this class. If not, just ignore me. But I'm going to kind of keep us on task by telling you where we are in the cutting guide in case you want to know. And if not, like I say, just ignore that. But we're on the top of page 2, and we're going to get started. Okay. Everything good? Mm-hmm. You're going to get your A pieces. You should have 6 of them. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to move this kind of out of my way here. There are no score lines on A. There should not be. You're going to need your corner rounder. If you have one. Of course, most of us have this. We are memory keepers. Love. I'm going to be using the 1/4 of an inch side. I'm going to open those up. So on one long side, I'm going to corner round. Just, I always forget it's right here. Just like that. And I'm going to get a white piece of paper so you can see better. On this black, just like that. So the top part I corner rounded, the bottom is straight. And I'm going to do that to all 6 pieces. Everything good? Mm-hmm. Still about 20 seconds or so behind, probably.
Yes.
So just corner round all your 6 pieces. I love most everything We Are Memory Keepers has come out with, I must say. I just got their new not corner punch, the hole punch my mom got me for Christmas that does like 6 or so different hole sizes. I don't think everybody has that one, so I haven't been using it in videos, but I absolutely love it. It is great. So just remember which side you use if you decided to use the 1/2 inch or the 1/4 inch, because you're going to be doing matting later and you're going to want to do the same angle. So I'm going to put this to the side for now, but I am going to use that again. So the next step on this is to get your tape out. We're going to run tape along the bottom of these pieces. So there is no score line. I know this is a little unusual if you've done some of these construction ones before. You're going to put your tape as close to the cut edge on the opposite end from where you did your corner rounding. Okay, if that makes sense. And there's no score line, but you're just going to get as close to the cut edge without going over as possible. And like I've been saying on videos recently, it sounds like The Price is Right. Just don't be going over. We're just going to do that on all 6. What these are going to be is your dividers. This is going to be on that pull-out section. This is kind of what holds it all together and what pulls it up. So you really don't need a score line on that one. We're just going to glue it to the mechanism that's going to make this work. And I'm going to show you that as we go along. It's kind of a need to know basis, right? As we go, we'll show you. So, am I doing good? Oh, Kathy Champion, don't be making me cry. You're always so nice. So sweet. Let's see. I'm still thinking about that Brenda class. I just never would have thought to watercolor stamps. And it was absolutely beautiful.
It was beautiful.
So, I have some watercolors. I don't know what I'm doing, but I think now I could actually do that. I could take those stamps and actually try that technique, because I'm not going to start with a blank piece of paper and just a paintbrush and do a whole painting. Just don't have that in me. Okay.
Like you said, I'm a sucker for everything. Oh,
did it already go away?
Memory keepers. We are memory keepers.
I love those things. All right, so let's see. I'm still on the top of page 2. I haven't done very much, have I? So we're going to go on to piece B. I'm just going to kind of put this off to the side and grab my piece B. So you'll notice this paper is a little bit thinner. There's a reason for that. This is going to be the mechanism that we're going to glue to that's going to make all this pop out. And it's a really thin piece of paper. You could use tie back if you wanted to. Oh, take a breath. But tie back is so difficult to score for me and actually get straight scores. So if you take a look at piece B, you will see that there are score lines every 1/2 inch. If you don't see them on one side, turn it over because they are light, but they are there. So all we're going to do is we're going to fan fold or mountain valley fold back and forth this paper, and I'll show you. Just like when you're a kid and you're folding a fan, just going to go up and down on each one of those 1/2 inch score lines. So just go slow, take your time, don't form any new score lines. That's really the only thing here you want to do, is not form anything new. And this is going to, like I say, be our mechanism that we're going to glue those dividers on, those piece A's, and that's going to make this pop out. See Terrence's love there. What's Terrence loving? Oh, see, I shouldn't have looked up. I was trying to make a new score line. Here we go. Okay. There we are. So, it's just so strange not being in the room with y'all, because I'm looking around seeing, did I go too fast? Is anyone behind? But at least you have the videos. You can just watch it one time through and go back and make it if you want to. So, this is what you should have when it's left. And it will tell you on the middle of page 2, when you fan fold it, you should have 7 mountains. So 7 sticking up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that means you should have 6 valleys. So 1 in between all those 7. So you know you've got it right if it looks like this. So moving on to assembling these 2 things we've just made together. So this step is really important. So listen closely to this, because I've taught this class before and didn't point out how important this was, and some people got messed up. You want to make sure that you're putting your piece A consistently on your piece B, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one piece A into the first valley with the tape pointing to my left. I'm going to put the next one in the same way, the next valley, tape pointing to the left. If you do the right, do the right. Just be consistent, because that way when you pull this thing up, they're all going to pull up. Does that make sense? If you've got one on the other side, totally not going to work. So that's the only thing that you have to remember. Keep that tape consistent. If you're doing it like mine, you're just going to keep it all pointing to the left. Except that I am backwards, aren't I? It's like an exercise video. Pointing to the right, to the left. Okay, so just grab a pokey tool or something to be able to take those tape backers off. I'm going to put it down in the first valley. I'm going to make sure that I'm centered front and back, because they're the exact same size. And then I'm going to push it toward the front, and I'm going to glue it down. Pick it up just like that. And so the next one is going to become a little unwieldy, because it's going to be flapping over. So just remember, I'm going to do the next thing. I'm going to put it in the second valley with the tape pointing toward the front. Okay. Are we good?
Yeah.
No questions?
No, everybody's working.
Oh, everybody's trying to catch up, I'm sure. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll go through the construction, and then we'll take a little water break and give away a prize or two and talk a little bit. But like I said, do not stress out. You're going to have this video and you're going to have another video where I just go straight through the process with no chitter chatter. So I'm on number 3, piece A, and I'm going to put it in that third valley, facing back in the same direction, making sure everything lines up side to side, and then basically pushing that fan fold onto it because that's just the easiest way I have found. And just go to the next one. Just going to do that 6 times. So this really is an easy project. If I didn't point it out before, on the first page, which I skipped over, you have a full cutting guide. So Mom did all that for you. You cut and score, but so you can make this again. You know what the pieces are going to look like when you're done. And so you have all the instructions of how to cut it, how to score it. But for time's sake, we went ahead and did that for you. We want you to have the best class experience that you possibly could have. Okay, I'm going to get some water in just a second. I heard Maymay say on one of her first classes that she had started a new food program this week, and she had upped her water intake. And that's so funny, because she's not in our group, but that's kind of what we've done. We've started something too, and have drank so much more water today. So I'm very conscious about not having to go to the bathroom or not. So I'm on my second one. She says, that is your left, and that's what we're seeing. Okay, all right. So just for me, it's backwards in the camera, probably.
Okay.
Because it's like I look at my hair, and I'm used to seeing the part on the other side.
Carol said, do you ever use the double-sided tape and then hit it with glue stick to give it a little wiggle room time?
That's a very good question. She asked if you ever use a glue stick over the tape to give it some wiggle room, and I have done that when making albums, especially if I'm trying to do a weird mat that's cut at weird angles and I need some time. I absolutely have done that. Thank you for that suggestion, though. I know a lot of people use art glitter glue over tape for that. I guess that's just what greet me is just going crazy back there. So this is what you should have when you're done. See if you can see it here. And there's a good picture of this in the middle of page 2. So all of mine, I was going to say, I bet all of mine are right. They better be right. But I'm pretty bad about that when I'm chatting. So I think everything is cool. So when you're done, you should have one end that has 2 flaps. You should have one that has 1. So the one with 2 flaps is your front. The one that just has 1 that's left over is your back. And we're going to take care of that back right now. What we're going to do is we're just going, you can tape it or glue it down into place. I'm going to use tape since I have mine out. And I'm putting tape, if it's in the folded position on the front, because all I'm going to do is tape it out of my way. I'm going to tape it up to the back of page A. So like I say, you could use art glitter glue. We needed that for the construction, but now we're just taping it and getting out of the way. That's going to be your back. Now the front has this 2 little step here. So you have these 2 sections. Oh, that's a great shot. You can see it right there. And what I'm going to do now on the front, in the folded position, I'm going to put a strip of tape here. But I'm going to leave that tape on until I am ready to assemble this inside of my book or my box or my, however you want to say it, a little mechanism. So basically the mechanism is made. This is going to be the front. So once we put a pull tab on this and you pull it from the back, this is going to pop up like this. Cool. All right, are we good? No questions?
You're such a great teacher.
Oh, she's going to make me cry for the day's over. So I'm just going to kind of put this one over to the side for now. I'm going to go back to my cutting guide, and let's see. Hey, I was moving along on that one, wasn't I? So now we're at the bottom of page 3. Move this to the side. My picture's behind me.
Sentiments by Sue. What was your last step?
Okay. So all I did, Sue, is I taped the one that had that 1 flap just out of the way. I taped it straight down to the back on page of A. Let's see. And you can see a good picture of this on the bottom, no, on the top of page 3. Right here. It'll show you to tape that to the back, and the front of it has the 2 pieces, or the 2 1/2-inch lines, And so I just folded it straight down in the folded position. I just put a line of tape here. We're going to use that in a minute, but we're not going to tape it down.
Questions
Okay.
about that.
About this right here, this last step?
That
okay.
last step.
So yeah, so that's the only thing I've done to this is put tape on it. If it's in the folded position, you can see it just like that. Because eventually we're going to tape this straight down to the box once we get to that point. And then there's going to be a pull tab here on the back, and all this is going to pull up. Maybe that answered that.
Maybe.
Okay. And like I said, there's some pretty good pictures of this in the middle of page 3. Repeat the last. Can you repeat what you just did? Okay. So that's it. Yeah, I know that's probably the hardest part to this whole thing is getting this mechanism done. So I know that there's a delay, so let me know if that was not clear, and I'm going to work on the next piece. So the next piece is piece C, and you're going to need a pair of scissors. I love these new cutter bees that I just got. So this one also, you might not can see real well the score lines on one side. You should be able to see them really well on the second side.
So is the back the double or the single?
Okay, the back is the single piece, and that's the one we taped just up to the back of piece A. We just taped it out of the way, and the front has the 2, the double. Just like that. Okay, so back on piece C.
Ms. Wood says, no, I'm still confused with how to do everything with the front in the back. Everything with the front in the back.
Okay. Hopefully that one helps. But one more time in the middle of 3. I think that's going to help looking at those pictures too. But the one that had that one flap left, I put a piece of tape on it and then just taped it right back where it's flat now. There's nothing showing on the back. That one flap has been taped down. And on the front that had 2 flaps, you can still see I've got 2 flaps here. There you go. You can see it like that. We got one mountain fold. So when I fold it down to the front, where everything's folded back in that fan shape, the only thing I have done is put a piece of tape here. It's still got that one mountain fold. Maybe that will help. Okay. So back to piece C. Just look for those score lines on your piece C. And at the bottom of page 3, yay! At the bottom of page 3, it's going to show you exactly how we're going to cut this out. This is going to be the top of our box. So let me take this opportunity to kind of show you. This is kind of a dummy one when I was first making this one. So this is kind of where we're going with this. We're going to mat the front of this. We're going to put a pocket here. We're going to make this is the piece we're just fixing to work on. That's very southern. We're going to make this box top here. I have not glued this one down so you can see the mechanism before it ever gets glued down into it. Once we put these 2 pieces of paper in, here's that mechanism we've been working on. So if I flip this around, once we glue that front down, so here's the back where this is flat, we're going to put a tab and this is going to pull out. So once all this is kind of glued into a box form, when you hold it, it'll do this. Okay, so this is kind of where we're going, if that helps anybody. So we're going to make this little elongated box. So the only warning I would give you on this is if you're using really thick tape, this does not go all the way to the edge, and so you might see some tape. If you're using 1/2 inch or 3/8 of an inch, this flap is not quite 1/2 of an inch, and so you might see some of that tape. So just a warning there. The first time I did it, I was wondering what I was doing wrong. Okay, piece C. Hope everybody's good and with us now. What we're going to do at the bottom of page 3 is we're going to cut some notches. So you can see there is a center section here, and I'm going to start from the outside on the center score line. There'll be 2 of them. I'm going to cut up to the first score line and just going to cut a 1/2 inch, just like that. So now that there is a flap. And then on that flap, I'm just going to cut off a sliver, just going to cut a small angle from the outside on the flap into where we cut the first one, just to cut a tiny sliver off of it to make it easier to make this into a box form. And so that makes it, you can kind of see it well there. So all I did was cut on the score lines up to where it intersects the first score line. It's a 1/2 inch on the center. And I think May does this a lot on her boxes, so this would probably be very similar. People have probably seen this a lot. I'm just going to turn it around and do the same thing on the other side. On those two score lines, you're just going to cut that 1/2 inch up to where it intersects the score line. And then on that flap that I just made, I'm going to cut a tiny sliver out of it, a tiny triangle out, and pull those off. And then this is what you should have. Yeah, that's a pretty good shot. Everybody good so far? Instructions say the front has 2 folds. We heard you say the front has 1. No, the front has the 2 folds, and the back has the 1 fold, and that's what the instructions say. The back has 1, the front has 2. I'm sorry if I misstated it, but it does have 2 folds on the front. On that one. Oh, she said she figured it out. Sorry. So now from this, all you're going to do is fold on all those score lines. Just going to fold here on this side, and I'm going to fold the ones in the center, and you can see that box top taking shape. Alright, so now you can really see those folds. So now at the bottom of 3, you can see where we're going to put some tape down. We're going to put tape on one side of this from where we cut those notches all the way out to the edge. So I'm going to use this 3/8 of an inch tape. I'm going to put it as on this one. I'm going to put this one as close to the score line as I can without going over. Usually you do it as close to the cut edge as you can, but like I said, this one shows a little bit of tape if you don't do it this way. So I'm just putting my tape on one side of this box as close to that score line as I can up to where we cut that little notch out, just like that. And give it a little burnish. That's all I have done. So it should look like the bottom of page 3. I'm going to take a little sip. See how everybody's doing. I'm so glad. Ready for C, Maggie says.
Everybody's good.
I'm so glad. All right, so now we're just going to fold this box together. You're going to fold these tabs in. You're going to fold down the side that has the tape on it first, of course, and then you're going to fold the second side with no tape over it. So,
good.
Here we go. So you can still see I have a little bit of tape showing, but it's not going to matter. I'm probably going to put some matting over it. It'll be fine. So I'm just going to take my tape off. And pull this in. I'm trying to get it where you can see it. Tape is sticking to me. And push that together. I still did it where you can see the tape. Oh wow. It'll be okay. And then we'll do the other side. Alright, take the tape. And pull this over. There we go. I don't know how many times I'd have to make this before you could not see the tape on this one. That's the only piece that I have done that way. At least I'm consistent. So, you got your top of your box made. Oh, good, Terrence. Terrence is keeping up.
Yeah.
You get a gold star. Let me just... Okay, so you got your C piece, so just kind of move this out of the way. And we are going to move on over to page 4. We're doing pretty good on time. It's 25 after. We're going to work on our D pieces, and so that's the actual base of our book or our box. So you have 2 D pieces. They look exactly alike, and they're scored exactly alike. Oh, you can see that pretty good in the sunshine. So what we're going to do, once we put tape on it, is you're going to turn your D pieces where your score lines are at the bottom are going to be facing each other, and one's going to go over the top and be glued down. So on your piece D's, you will see, once again, on one side, you probably can't see those score lines well. The other side, you can see them. So just find those. They're on 3 sides. They'll be on your side. They'll be on the bottom. None on the top. Two D's look just alike. So I'm going to grab my tape again. On one of those piece D's, on the bottom score line, I'm going to run tape all the way across. All we're doing right now is basically making this longer because we started out with, I think this is 8.5 by 11 paper when we were cutting. So I'm going to take that liner off. I'm going to turn these where they face each other with the score lines at the bottom on both of them. And I'm going to pick one up and it's going to go over the first one with the tape. So all you're going to do is you're going to make sure you're kissing the score line, not going over the score line, but just kissing right up to it and just getting it on here as straight as you can. Just like so. So all we're doing really is just making a longer piece with the bottom of the box being what's in the center now. Hope everybody's good so far. We're in the middle of page 4, and now we're moving on to the bottom of page 4. Is everybody pretty good? I hadn't heard anything for a while. Yay! So, we're going to make those same cuts that we made at the top of the box. This is the bottom of the box. You'll see a picture of this on the bottom of page 4. So, I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to go on those score lines. I'm going to cut up that 1/2 inch to where the horizontal score line meets it and cut to there. I don't know why that's so hard to say. I'm cutting on the vertical score line to where the horizontal one meets it. And now I have that flap again. And so then I'm just going to cut a little sliver out of that one more time out of that flap. This one's going to give you a little bit of resistance because it's doubled over since we just put one on top of the other. And just pull those right out. So you can kind of see that there. Turn it over. It's going to do the exact same thing. Cutting on the 2 score lines till it intersects with the horizontal one, and then cutting a sliver out. You see that thing go flying? When I was filming this one, I think this is the one that it hits me right in the face. And it just gets me. I start laughing. I think this is that class. Grab my white piece of paper again. Alright. Everybody's good? Have you seen anything since Terrence said so far I'm keeping up?
I hadn't seen anything since then.
Somebody say something to make sure it's still working, because I hadn't seen anything in about 5 minutes or so.
I haven't seen anything. Ready. They ready.
All right. So, moving on to the top of thank you. Thank you, Mackie. She says, I love her picture. We're going to move on to the top, and we're going to kind of put this together. And I'm going to confess, I made this about 3 times watching TV, and every time I made this box and put the box together and did not put the mechanism in it and had to take the box apart.
We're concentrating.
Concentrating. Okay. I'm just making sure. You know, I don't want to say anything and jinx it, but I know other folks have had problems this morning, so, all right. Not going to say any more. Moving on.
Concentrating. They're working.
That's right.
Going great.
Okay. All right. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and fold on my score lines. I'm going to go ahead and take that opportunity. I think you can see my score lines better when I do that. So I'm just going to fold my score lines so you can do that too. And if you're keeping up or catching up, you don't have to. I'm just going to work all the way around the edges and fold on these score lines. And like I say, just go slow. The on some of these, the Cricut cut it out for us and scored, which is why it has such light score lines on some of them. And just kind of have to go slow at it and let it find those score lines. I'm not sure if this is one of those or not. Or if you did this one, scored them. Anyway, okay. I can't remember. We did a lot of these months ago, right? Because we were all supposed to meet months ago. And the bottom. Now you can kind of see that was the bottom of the box that we just reinforced or put together. All right. So where I had the D's written was the outside. And so I'm flipping mine over, and this is where my seam is. This is going to be my inside, and this is where I'm starting back. So I'm sweating. I'll tell you this too. I'm used to crafting with this hair up. It's very difficult. I'm finding. I'm keep wanting to go. Oh, it is hot. My neck is burning up. My hair is up. I have enough hair for 2 people usually, is what my hairdresser used to tell me. So you're going to grab that mechanism that we just made here that looks all weird. And so we are going to definitely glue this bad boy in here before we make our box, which is what I was confessing. So to make it a little easier, before we do that, let's go ahead and put some tape on here.
Robert said, pull your hair up.
Yeah, I should. Hey, by Saturday, I have a 4-hour class. This hair is probably going to be up. I'm not wear earrings, nothing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run tape along the long edge on one side of this box, and you can see this on the middle of page 5.
I said, put your hair up. We all got ours up.
Good. I bet some of y'all have pajamas on. I bet somebody's going to tell me they have pajamas on, because if I was sitting at home crafting, I would have no makeup, I would have my dog in here, and I would have pajamas on, I tell you. And used to be, I would tell you I was eating probably Chick-fil-A and drinking sweet tea, but I have forgone that. Is that the right tense? Forgone that this week? I really think Chick-fil-A is probably worried about me. I was there like almost every day.
That Connie Woods said that's cool. I had no idea the Cricut would score.
Oh, it's got a lot of different blades and a lot of different techniques. You know, I've learned so much from Melody Lane. I'm sure a lot of you know who she is. I met her in Made at Con, Tennessee. Has that been like a year and a half or so ago? Was the first time I'd ever seen her, and I've been watching her since then. And she is absolutely amazing on Cricut, so I've learned a lot. Okay, so this is kind of where we are. All I did was put tape on one long end up to where this little notch was. And like I said, this is in the middle of page 5. So now comes the time. Here we go. We're just going to have to like breathe and commit and put this in there. So this is how it's going to go. This is your front, the part that you put your tape on, where it has this. I think we debated this a few times here anyway, where it has this now. You're going to turn this over because you're going to glue this down. I'm doing mine on the right hand side up against this first score line. And I didn't take my tape off yet. I'm dry fitting it. So it's going to go up against that first score line. And you can see it basically butts up to the right hand side. Let me move this over. It's basically the same length here. And I'm going to get my head in the way, sorry. If I were to look down on both sides of this project, you're going to have about 1/8 of an inch wiggle room. So you're just going to estimate that it's in the center. But just take your time and take a look at it. Kind of see that you've got some room on both sides. Sorry, don't look at my bald spot. on both sides. And then if you want to, take a pencil and just kind of mark where you're going to come back to. Let's see if you can see mine on that black paper here. So if you were to take this, we're going to take the liner down, then we're going to put it right down in the center up against this first score line, because remember, this is the box bottom. So you're going to want that to bend. I think everybody's got that, I hope. So there's a picture on 5. It's a little hard to see black on black, I know. So that's all I'm going to do is glue this on here. So like I say, I'm just going to, at some point in making an album, I always have that thing where I'm like, Lisa, you just have to commit. So you just have to go, it's fine. It's going to be okay. That's usually sometime making the, what's the outside of the album called?
The cover.
Yeah, putting that binding usually on the cover is when it usually gets me. Okay, here we go. Put it down right kind of where I made my line, right up against the score line here. And just going to burnish it in place. Okay, so then once we come back and put this pull tab on, when we pull it up, oh, it works! Like a little Jack in the Box. Love it. I love that that cartoon with Rudolph where it has that Jack in the Box from like the 50s. And he pops out and says, "Happy birthday!" He's a misfit toy. Okay. Committed. That's funny. All right. So Lori committed. All right. So now let's see.
It worked.
Yay! Somebody got it. Mackie got it. Okay. All right, so, okay, that's the hardest part. We have been through the hardest part. Basically, the mechanism is made. We're going to put a pull tab on, and we're going to make this into the box. And let's see what time it is. Oh my goodness, I gave us an hour to do this. We're going to finish this project. So excited. All right, go and find this long, skinny E-piece. You will see that there, it might be a little difficult to see again the score line, but there's a score line right here about 1 inch down. See if you can see it right there. So it should be toward the top. You're going to go back and you're going to find your whatever you're using to corner round, and I'm using the 1/4 inch side again. So I'm going to corner round the side closest to those score lines. Okay. All right. Here we go. There. Okay. So there you go. You can see it on the white. So my score lines are right here. I know it's a little difficult to see. I'll go ahead and fold on my score lines. There we go. Cool, 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 cool. So that's going to be the front. I'm going to flip this over to the back of E, and I'm going to put tape on the back. You could glue this on if you want to. Get mine done right. Yeah, there we go. So we're just going. I hadn't even used any of my samples over here except for one. So what we're going to do is we're going to put tape all on the back of E from the bottom all the way to the first score line. That's all I'm going to do here. I'm going to start at the bottom and then go to where that first score line is. You could use glue, like I say, on this. We're kind of out of the construction phase a little bit because we're going to glue this tab, or this pull tab down, and I just wanted to have a really long piece so that you have something substantial, like if you got a kid or something jerking on this. So, because it is really neat, and people, when you give them this, if you give them this for a gift, they're going to wonder how did you make that? How did you do that? It's kind of a wow gift. The first time that we made this, my daughter and I made it for my mother, my sister, and then I think her mother-in-law for Mother's Day, and we put some of those beautiful pictures in it. So here is a copy of the first one I made. This one's a little shorter. I resized it for this class, so you can put almost a full 4x6. I think it's going to be more like a 4x5.5, 4x5 3/4. But we wanted to make sure we could actually pull it off with the pictures. But isn't this beautiful? This is some Tim Holtz pattern paper. Look at my beautiful family. There's my daughter on the left, and then my nephew Jackson's in the center, and then Grace, my niece, was there on the right. And so you can see how this one pulls out, and you have all these beautiful pictures in it. So we're not going to be doing any ones that open today, but you could make little booklets that fit in here, as long as you don't go too crazy and put too many booklets in here. Isn't that beautiful? These are some great pictures. I have made 2 or 3 different projects using this session of pictures because they're so great. And my nephew, we need to update this. He's now over 6 feet tall and plays football. He started growing facial hair. I was horrified. They grow up so fast. Oh, sorry. Put that there. So I always like to show other examples too. I always like to see other people's examples because it looks so different with different pattern papers on it. It just takes on a whole different look to it. Here's one that has different fall paper. That's beautiful. I love Prima paper. So here's one made out of Prima paper that we did. So cute. Okay, sorry. We'll move on now. I digress. So we're going to take this pull tab on this back of A, the one, remember, that doesn't, that's flat here. And we're going to line this up. You can eyeball center on that first score line. You're going to glue this down because what's going to happen is this is going to come over just like that and tuck into the project. So you just want to glue it on that first score line. And this is going to fold over. You have a 1/2 inch that'll tuck down into the top of the project that you can pull on and make it easier for your recipient to open this. And also kind of gives them a clue, what this is supposed to do. So I'm just eyeballing center, lining this up with that first score line and gluing down. Some things I can eyeball and I'm good with. Some things I'm like horrified. So now you can kind of see this is how this is going to work. And I may be working out of a sync with my cutting guide. If I am, I'm sorry. I'm not even looking at. No, I did right. I'm good. I did my own project good. Okay, it's fine. So now we've got everything assembled. We just need to put this box together. So we're going to do this just like we did the top. You're going to fold in these tiny flaps, and believe it or not, this does help with construction, having these flaps and not cutting them off. Then I'm dry fitting this. I'm not taking my tape off yet. I'm just folding everything and making sure it all works. I'm going to fold in first the side that does not have tape, and then the outside has the tape on it, and that will, when we take it off, now we'll keep everything in there. So, like I say, we have to wrangle with it a little bit. Dry fit it first. Make sure that you kind of got a straight, top before you take this liner off, because, you can push it up and it can come down. I guess that's making sense. You need to have it square, I guess, at the bottom for this to come together, right? I guess that's the right terminology. You can kind of see that there. So just fiddle with it for a minute. Let it make sense. I hope I'm making sense. And then we'll take that tape liner off. So I know everything's working. I'm going to kind of hold it together. I know that this is working. It's not catching on anything. And so
Can you show how to put the mechanism in again?
The mechanism? Okay, sure.
The mechanic.
Before we move on here. This is how I had mine set up with this on the right. So I don't think I have one that's not glued down, but the front piece of that had that little strip of tape on it, and so we turned it over face down, and we put it on the right-hand side all the way up to that score line, that first score line, and we centered it in the project to make sure we had a little bit of wiggle room in the box here, and then just glued it down, and then put this tab right there on the back. Alright, so, like I say, just fold this up, put the side end on the inside that does not have tape on it. The tape should be on the outside piece. Line it up. Just don't get in a hurry. I tend to get in a hurry. You want to get it done. Okay. And once you kind of got a good eye for it, we're just going to have to commit once again. One more time. And then, you know what? We're going to get to play with pattern paper. I'm so excited. Maybe we'll get to play with pattern paper. I have had some classes where the construction took so long that we really didn't get to play, and that was a bummer. So I've learned lessons as we've come along in classes, because that is the fun part for sure, is getting to play with that paper. So I'm just taking my time, making sure it all kind of lines up before I glue that down in place. Any questions? See, I've got a little piece here sticking out because I didn't quite get it as I was putting my on. It's fine. I'm going to trim it right off. I think that's easier to trim off the bottom than it is the top, because my top is coming up. If anyone has questions, put them in caps. Yes, that's very helpful, Kathy. That's a good suggestion, because it makes it much easier to see.
She's doing a really good job.
I knew Kathy would. She was. That was just some divine intervention when she entered my mind yesterday to ask her to help. All right. So I'm just twisting it and turning it, but all I'm doing is getting it in a good place where I can kind of glue that down. All right, it will become much more substantial as we go along and add lots of layers to this. So don't worry about that if yours is a little floppy, which mine is right now. Are we good? So just one thing to keep in mind as we go, that this is your back, because you can see, where this tab is coming out. That's always going to be your back, and this is always going to be your front, where you can kind of see where your dividers are. So push that down, put your tab inside. Just like, see if you can see it like that. I've got my tab inside, and then I'd lost my lid for a second, and that's going to go on just like that. So, and this is going to have a lot of wiggle room too. We did that on purpose. You need some room because we're going to be matting on, at least on two sides. So you're going to need some room there for that to hold on. Everybody doing okay? Yay. Okay. The construction for now is done. Ooh, 45 minutes. We did excellent. So we're going to stop here. You could take a drink if you need to. Take a breath. Hope I'm not stressing anybody out. And we're going to do some matting. But first, I'm going to do a giveaway. I think you all deserve one. Hanging in there. 45 minutes of me like nonstop. Do this, do this, do this. All right. So what we're going to do, I'm going to kind of clean up my space. And you could see mine has this little bitty stand that it sits on. And I've got one I'd like to give to you. Also, let me see my box. I forgot to move my box. I wonder if this looks familiar to anyone, and it may not, but think of it as a ladybug shape. That might make sense to some people. So, anybody seen this for Maymay's? I can't believe I've kept up. Yay, Denise! That's great. I think I did it. Yay, Terrence! Okay, so I was cleaning out some stuff and kept my trash. Isn't that crazy? So let's just say you've got a little bit of trash on your desk. Pencil shavings, whatever you got going on here. So look, this is going to be loud if anyone's got in headphones. So this is a little vacuum. So cute. So Maymay has the ladybug one, and we named it on the cruise ship something crazy like O'Shaughnessy or something after the restaurant because, I can't pronounce anything right. Everything is country. And so she laughed at me and Brenda's pronunciation of that and named like this of that. So anyway, we're going to give somebody one of these. Is going to be a surprise. There's 3 different types of this. And you also are going to get one of these that's still in the box for your kit. The way we're going to do that now is we have a class roll. And let me get my phone. Everybody's name is numbered, and I'm going to use an app that will pick a number for me, and I'll tell you who that is. So is there 25 people in here?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to start this over. All right, so you can see it starts over at 0. Maybe you can. It doesn't like that at all. I'm going to put it in 1 through 25. All right, and so just randomizing it number 2. Tammy Graw? Tammy, I think you're here. I think I have seen you. So, Tammy, if you're here, let us know. Also, all these kits and all the information comes through Maymay, so I wouldn't have any information for you. So what you would have to do is send me an email to Lisa Wise. I'm trying to think. LisaWiseDesigns@gmail.com. And now, you don't have to try and rush to do that. It's in the description of this video. You can find my Etsy shop there. You can find my Facebook link there, and you'll find my email address there too. So just send me an email with your name, and as long as you don't mind me having your mailing address, I'm going to send this to you.
Okay, clarify. Nancy says my kit says kit number 29.
Yes. What we did when we were in class was we would number the kits, and that would make it so much easier for me to draw prizes instead of giving out tickets. This one I was a little worried in transit that those stickers would fall off or something would happen and we wouldn't have them. So we decided not to give the prizes away like that this time. We've got a class roll from Maymay that has everybody's name on it that paid for the class. And it's numbered 1 through however many's in the class. That was 25. So that's what we're going to be doing this weekend. Thank you for that question, because that is how we used to give them out in person. That made it easier. But you never know with this transit thing what's going to happen. Okay. Congratulations, Tammy. We'll give another one away at the end of this. And since we're taking a little break before we get started, I mentioned my Etsy shop. If you love kits like this, if you decide you love this style of teaching where it comes with a full color instruction, and I tell you you're on page 5, page 6, that type thing, I've got 3 things right now for sale. There's a recipe album, there's a fall crate and mini, and a Christmas crate and mini. This has probably been my most popular, this recipe album. And I was shocked. I have to tell you, I was shocked. I always wanted to make a recipe album that had my grandparents, information in it and things from my mom. But I didn't know if anybody else would, so I just took a shot. And this has been the most popular one. Like, here is a recipe. It's a copy of a copy of a copy. But I'm still glad that I have it. It's in my grandmother's handwriting for butternut cake. And so it's just a perfect place to keep those family recipes in. It's made out of glassine bags. It's got plenty of pockets in it, and it's just full of like my family recipes now. I even got my sister to write down how she makes the green bean and bacon bundles at Christmas. I love those things. Anyway,
comes with everything.
and then there's we just made this on my YouTube channel, so you could pick up the kit, or you can use your stash and just pick up the tutorial. We made this fall crate that comes with a little mini album. And the last thing we did was this Christmas crate one. And it's got the little miniature pulls on it in an album.
Where do you get the glassine bags?
The glassine bags, I actually bought mine from Office Depot. Of course, it was a wholesale account, but you can pick them up there. Of course, you're probably going to buy 500 or 1,000. But if you want just a few, look on my Etsy shop. A lot of people have asked me that, so I put that out there on Etsy, so you can get just a pack of 20 to come to you. So there's that. So that's my little commercial. Hope y'all are okay with that. I had to take the time to show it to you in case you were interested. Okay, so now let's do some decorating. Kind of clean up a little bit here. Somebody said, how did I keep my...
Where did you get the pulls?
The pulls for... someone said
on the side of the crate.
Oh, I actually just picked those up on Amazon. A lot of things you can pick up if you have a wholesale account, but I actually had a hard time finding them. They're about 2 inches long, and I picked them up on Amazon, probably about 50 of them in a pack. So, yeah. I think you could probably pick some up in the wood section, like a hobby wood section of Hobby Lobby. I've seen similar things there if you just wanted 1 or 2. So like I said, mine I got just off a tiny bit on the bottom as I was trying so desperately to get it square. So I'm just going to trim it off. It's fine. It's just a tiny piece. Nobody's even going to look at it, but it bothers me, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make our pocket. We're not going to put the pocket on just yet because we're going to mat first. But let's go ahead and get that ready. So I got piece F. White sheet of paper again. Piece F. You can see that there's scoring around 3 sides. So the bottom has got that score line. No score lines at the top. And I'm just going to put tape on those 3 sides. And closest to the cut edge. Go around here.
Great idea.
Here.
Tammy says get the pulls off of an old jewelry box.
That is a great idea. If you didn't hear, she said the pulls off of an old jewelry box. That is an excellent idea. I bet you could find all kinds of stuff like that at the thrift store. And it would be really neat because it would be aged already for you.
That is a great idea.
I know. I love having these type classes. Usually, people just pop up. You can hear them talking in the background. All right, so all I did was put tape closest to the cut edges I could, around those 3 sides. And I'm going to taper the sides. And if you've never made a pocket before, I kind of go slow with this. And I think I've got some pretty good pictures, on page 7. So where these score lines meet, people call that an X. And right where those 2 score lines meet, I'm going to cut a pretty good chunk out of this. It's not a sliver. It's a pretty good chunk. I'm going to cut a triangle. Yeah, I was like, what am I going to cut? A triangle right across there. So I'm going to place my scissors, and I'm not going to go over where those score lines meet, but I'm going to try to get right up to it. And I'm just going to cut. Probably better to use longer scissors, what I normally do, and get it in one spot or slice. Because what you're trying to do is when you turn this over, you don't want there to be a lot of bulk. You don't want one side and the bottom to be over each other. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Right where those 2 score lines meet, a lot of people call that the X, is where I'm going to try to cut to. As you can see, a kind of piece that comes off of that like that. Then I'm going to fold on the score lines with the tape going toward the back on all 3 sides. And if I've done a good job, and I've been doing this for years and sometimes still have to cut it 2 and 3 times. But if I've done a good job and I turn this over, they will kind of come together but not overlap. And this one overlaps and this one's perfect, like I say. It's just the luck of the draw of trying to cut a 45-degree angle. It's just human nature. So that's good that I'll show you again. So what I do is I'm going to start. I don't want to go over where that X is. I'm just going to take a sliver off. You can see what came off here on the side. And now they don't overlap, so there's not a lot of bulk on it. Okay, so now this pocket is made. And I designed this pocket to go with this paper pack because you can see, if you've looked at your paper, there's a ton of these cutter parts. That's 3x5. Is that 3x5? 3x4. 3x4, sorry. 3x4 cutter parts in this vertical position. So I took that into account when I was making this pocket because you could make it any size you wanted to as long as it fits on the front. And then you want to, when we put this on here, we're going to go more toward the bottom because we're going to put a tag in here, and that tag is also going to kind of give some resistance to help hold that lid on. That makes sense too. Okay, so this is ready, but we're not going to put it on because I want to put matting underneath this first. You can see here. All right, we'll kind of put this to the side. So all we've got to the side now is all of our G pieces, which these are your mats for your photos. And we're going to hopefully get to a lot of these and decorate the other side of them. So that's what's left. There's your photo mats, your G's, and your 1F pocket. So that's all the black pieces that you should have remaining. Okay. Yay! Pattern paper! We're at the top of page 8. So I don't do this in all of my projects, but I try to if it's very helpful for you. I went and laid it all out at the top of page 8 of all the patterns that I chose to use, and I put all the mat sizes. But now, matting can be controversial. Some people really like to have that 1/8 of an inch all the way around, so they cut it 1/4 of an inch short, on the vertical and the horizontal side. Some people like to have less, some people like to have more. Some people hate it if there's 8s in it, so they just round up or down. So I tried to give you exactly what I did here so that we can kind of do the same pieces together. Okay, so let's get started on that. I don't think I need this now, I hope. Let's look at our paper. You see, this is what I was talking about. Look how many of these cutter parts you can choose from for the front. I love this. And of course, you'll notice that, and I didn't think about this till later. Let me move this out of the way. It's got my stickers on it. These got bunny ears because we were doing this right at Easter before we had to anyway, to move it out. So just forgive us for that, but it's still going to be cute. You don't even have to use him. You can use something else because I used this one right here. I thought this one was really pretty. Had a lot of white space to it. Had a lot of space that I could add to it, which is I love to do. So you can kind of be looking at that because you're going to want one of these cutter parts to be the front of your album. And I'm kind of torn between Echo Park and what's the other one? Cartabella, and then this one. Some of the paper packs, they give you 2 of everything, and then some of them they give you 1. So on one hand, you have more to choose from because they only give you 1 piece. But on the other hand, you only get 1 to choose, from. So if you use one side of it, you don't have the other side. But this one gives you 2 of each pattern. So what I like to do when I'm starting an album is if I have that, I go ahead and flip it over the back piece so I can kind of see what I have to choose from. So I'm going to do that. Hope it doesn't make everybody dizzy. And now I can just kind of flip through this, what I want to see here. So let's do the mats, the front and back of the box. So what I did was a polka dot and then this one right here with all this rainbowish on here. And so at the same time doing the rainbow, we can go ahead and cut out which one of these that you want. And we'll find the orange dot. And this one. The rest of this out of the way. So if you know which one you want to use, go ahead and cut that one out. And then we're going to use the leftovers to cut the other side of the box top. So I'm going to go back with the same one that I used for this the original project. So I'm going to cut off the branding strip. Start with that. And then I'm going to cut this whole bottom piece off so I can get my little dude. But this one cute. This is my next favorite one. It says Gnome 1. That's hard to say. Gnome 1 No one makes me smile like you do. Alright, so get this little guy out. And I put him over with my pocket up here. And then now I've got this side to work with. So we're going to cut 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and just make sure you're looking at your paper that it's going to be in the right orientation. So we're going to be doing the top of our box. So this is the orientation you want it to be. You don't want any upside down or sideways rainbows, please. It's not going to happen here. So since mine's in this orientation, I'm going to cut the long piece first, which is 6 1/4. Let me open this up here. And this is a Stampin' Up one, if anyone is wondering. And I've gotten it recently, and I absolutely love it, I must say. 6 1/4 by Am I doing the wrong one? Hang on. The box is 4 3/8 by 1 1/4. 4. I knew that didn't sound right. 4. Let's see. 1 2 3/8. 1 1/4. I'm sure somebody was probably telling me.
No, wrong. I have that trimming. It's the best one I've ever used.
I know. I love this one. Here we go. So just like Macy, I skipped down to the bottom. 4 3/8 by 1 1/4. So then we're going to do the exact same thing with that orange polka dot paper. I'm going to put my scraps over here. So on this one, there's no real pattern because it's just dots. So I'm just going to cut off 1 1/4 long strip first. Is this not the most beautiful plaid? Can I just say that? There was not enough of that in that kit. I used that so much. And I'm going to come over to 4 3/8. And I'm sorry if somebody hates 8s. I know there's somebody out there going, why? Why do we have to do 8s? So that's what I chose for the front and the back of the box top here. So we're just going to glue those on. If you love to distress, which I do, I'm going to do that. I just cannot help myself. I'm going to use the ink blending pad and distress ink in black. And the way I pick my color for my distress ink, usually it's the color or something close to the base color of my project. So since I'm using black as a base, I'm using black to use as my distress color. If I was using craft, which I'm going to be doing that on Saturday, I'm not going to be using black. I'm going to be using a brownish color, which I think is Vintage Photo. That's like a really popular shade of the Tim Holtz stuff. Is that Kathy that said she had that trimmer?
Yeah.
Finally breaking out the art glitter glue. Did somebody hear in one of May's classes today, too, that she's going to be bringing in a new glue? I was very excited about that. I've heard about Bearly or Bear. I think it's in the shape of a bear. It has a bear on it, something like that.
I haven't heard about that.
Okay, so just kind of go slow.
Give us scraps or something else to experiment with.
Yes, and you can, I think one of the reasons they're bringing it in, because she's still, art glitter glue is still #1, is they can ship it in the winter. It's not water-based.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
So, a hint as we're going along here, Kathy said she heard that too. If you have a roll of tape, if you have a distress ink that we were just, playing around with, if you have a block, it might be helpful to put those in as you are matting so you don't crumple up your project. I was definitely going to be doing this when I start matting that bigger project. It was a little bit easier on this one. Just, you crack me up, you start laughing.
Carol Baker said work called cutting into her make it con time.
That's what I'm talking about.
So cute.
I should never have checked my phone this morning. I should know better by now. Don't be trying to put me on a conference call. Nobody got time for that today. I'm teaching. Okay. So that's going to be the front and the back of our box top. I'll throw that out of the way. Hope I don't lose that one for now. So let's do the front and the back of the this actual base piece. She's laughing again. So what you want to do is you want to find the one that has all the gnomes on it, if you like that for the back. What I usually try to do on the back of any project I'm working on is I find the paper that's the most busy, or the one that I like to look at but might be a little difficult to use, or one that would not make sense if there was a lot of stuff over it. Like if I put a whole picture on here, this might not make sense, right? You're just going to see a few gnomes. That's kind of how my thinking is of what I pick for the back. So I picked the gnomes for the back, and then I picked this really cool plaid paper for the front. So as you were using that dot paper, now you're going to use the other side of that we had already cut that has the plaid on it. And then we're going to find the one that has all the gnomes on it. This one. I love this paper. It's so cute. I was not a gnome person either until this season, when it came out this year, because gnomes in gardens to me are always scary looking, but the ones they have come out with in the craft world are absolutely adorable.
Yeah, they are.
I really want to make the ones that I've seen on Etsy that has all the interchangeable pieces, like it holds something different, like a coffee cup, or a snowflake or Christmas tree. I think that'd be fun. Although, who's got time for that? But I think that would be a lot of fun. I've seen them for sale where you can finish it yourself. Okay, let me look at where I'm supposed to be here. Sorry. The front and back of the box, the gnome and the plaid. 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. That's easy. All right, and go over 4 1/4. And this one, 6 1/4 is right here on the very edge. That's the only thing I don't like about all trimmers, is between 6 and 7, depending on which trimmer you have. Sometimes it's difficult to find. And all trimmers are different where they cut it off. But there's always one couple little lines that it's difficult. Alright. That's going to be perfect. Good, good, good. Move this out of the way. I'm starting to lose surface area. Everything's starting to come in. You can take a break if you need to.
I'm all right.
Okay, on my non-papers. This is another one that definitely has a orientation. So just make sure you're cutting it in the right orientation so you don't have sideways gnomes. So on this one with the gnomes up and down, I'm going to cut it at 4 1/4. And 6 1/4 tall. And 2 pieces here. Ink. Okay. Kathy, did the mailman ever come? I'm sorry to ask. I'm hoping that the mailman came for you today and had everything, your kits and stuff. I saw somebody else that was waiting yesterday for the mailman, and it came yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to grab my project. I'm going to make sure I know which is the front and the back. Don't ask me how I know that either. So I'm pulling this tab out. I'm going to make sure I know these are my dividers. This is the front. The tab is on the back. So just kind of know which is your orientation. And I'm going to use my tape and kind of put it down in there. And I'm going to put this plaid paper on.
Yes.
Glitter glue.
But she's missing a kit.
Well, I've waited too late too on my art glitter glue. Let me get my pen out. Oh, Kathy, maybe they can get it all figured out.
She contacted the shop.
Okay, to glue.
She said she really appreciates Lisa wants to make this for her sister for her birthday.
Oh, that's a great idea. Because any project that you have about a dozen or less photos that you really want to highlight, this is perfect for that. And it can sit on a coffee table or a bookshelf, especially if you have a little stand to put it on. And I'll show you this stand is you might not, when I tell you what it is, you're going to know exactly what it is. If you look at it like this, it is a business card holder. Can you believe that? It is perfect for that. It's made by Rolodex. And it just, the color with being black and the way it's shaped was just perfect for this. So I try to look at things differently when I run across them. especially if there's a sale. You know, how can I use that one day? All right, so then I'm just going to take this and flip it over and make sure, yeah, well, it's too late now, but this is the back for sure, and this is where I'm going to put my gnomes. And I was telling Mother earlier that in one of my videos I recorded, I think it was last week, my art glitter glue, in the middle of the video, the glue started coming out from the bottom of the cap. You know, had that vacuum or whatever that I've heard other people talk about. I just never got it all cleaned up. You're talking about a mess. Goodness. Okay, so we got that part done. Now, since we have that matting done, we can put our pocket on. So grab that black pocket we're working on. And we're going to kind of dry fit it here. I shouldn't have taken this out here. One time. I'm going to do it more toward the bottom because we got a tag that's going to come out the top. So about, I would say about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom is where I'm going to glue this. And I'm going to eyeball center here. All right, and so all you have to do, I'm going to put the pin in here. Anybody lucky enough to get a stopper topper lately? Because I heard May say that in the newer ones, the pin's a little shorter, and I think it might be stronger. I wasn't sure on that part, but she did say they were shorter. And I'm excited to try one of those. I haven't. The one I have is from like the original, first time I'd ever heard of it. Okay, and make sure it's in the right orientation, so there should be nothing at the top. Make sure you got the bottom of your pocket here. I'm kind of eyeball center and making sure I'm about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. And just put that down. Now I know that is not straight, but it is okay. It's pretty close. What just made me say I'm not going to stress about it? Okay, so if you have your cut apart, whichever one you chose, and you cut it exactly on the lines, it should exactly fit here on the pocket. I'm sitting right by a window, and it likes to blow out the color here. I know that you're not able to see how cute that gnome is, but you have the kit, you can see it from home. See, that's the true color. So I'm going to hit the edges with black and just glue it down. I guess we haven't had any problems, have we, in this group, or no issues? Thank you guys for being here. If I haven't told you, thank you for choosing my class to take. We all that's on the that teach for May, of course, have very different styles, and you can see definitely what my style is. Right, it is very precise. Some people not so much, but that's what makes us all such a great team. We all do something different. So I appreciate you taking my class above or instead of somebody else's. I'll tell Brenda. We'll tell her my class was sold out. Okay, Brenda and I are good friends, so I can say that about her. All right, so this is what it looks like here. We're going to come back toward the end, and we're going to add stickers and some different things there, but we're going to do our matting first while we got all that stuff out. So I think finally I can take this out, I think. Put this to the side, and we're going to keep matting, cutting. Good?
I love the class.
Oh, thank you. Whoever said that makes me feel good, because it takes a lot of time to design it, a lot of time to cut it, a lot of time to put it out there, a lot of time researching. So when you say that you're enjoying it, that really, you don't know, that really means a lot to us. It really does.
Parents said I think it's a good pace I'm keeping up so far, not feeling rushed.
Thank you, Terrence, because I'm always afraid I'm going super duper fast. Let me see. Where am I? The dividers, okay. Back up, pull out. So, and I'm going to show you kind of a little bit of my thinking again about how I chose things as we're going. So you're going to go back to that, this paper here, this plaid that you already have cut out. You may not have even consciously noticed this in all the examples that I showed you, but to me, when you're designing something, you don't, if you've got let's say 12 things in a row that you want to mat. You don't want them to be 12 different sheets of paper. And when I first started scrapbooking 20-something years ago, that's how I did it. That's why I thought you were doing it, right? I got 20 sheets of paper, 20 different patterns, put them all on there. You want there to be a natural flow, but you want there to be some variety, but not 20-something, right? So if we open this and look at it, and I'm going to go ahead and take out the photo maps. I couldn't think of that word. I think I have dyslexia speech. It's like I lose words sometimes. So if you were to look at it here without anything in it, you can now see what I use on the front is like every other one, and it ends up with it. So it's kind of bookending it together, and it kind of has a flow. And then I also chose things that were similar but different. You see how they're white backgrounds, but they're different pieces. I got 2 different pieces of flowers and then the gnome paper, but they're all kind of a white background, and then these kind of flow. I don't know if that helps anybody out there too as you're designing your own projects or scrapbooking or matting things, but that's kind of how I look at it. And I'll go back real quickly to that one other project I did, and then take a look at this to see you see the same thing. You see kind of how I did that. Let me know if that helps anybody, if I'm just insane. But you know, you got a variety, but it's cohesive, I guess is the word I was looking for. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut 3 the divider tops out of this, and then I'm going to choose 3 other ones that are similar but different. Okay, so let's get started there.
I never thought about that before.
That's kind of the difference between when I look at somebody's card or somebody's project and say, it looks so professional and polished and finished, but I can't put my finger on why is mine different than yours. You know, what makes yours look better? Sometimes it's just something as simple as that. All right, so back to the divider, sorry. And if you don't care about any of that kind of information, you can let me know, but that really helps me. I've watched other people in other videos, and when they stop to throw out those little bits of information, I'm like, oh, yeah, exactly. That is that little thing that I'm missing in my projects.
Everybody's very thankful for the
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Okay, so dividers. 3 plaid, they're going to be 4 by 1 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to 4. Still working on that same piece of plaid. And I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to cut it 3 times. What did I say? 1 3/4? Yeah. 1 3/4. I'm going to cut 3 of those. I'm going to save this little piece. Alright, so I've got those 3 here. And then I'm going to do the same thing 3 different times, 3 other papers. So one of them that I did is I already had this gnome paper out. We've already been cutting on it. Let me see if I have scraps. I do. Okay, so here's a little scrap that I had left. So let me see. See, I cannot remember from one thing to the next what I'm supposed to be cutting. I guess I'm nervous. Sorry. So it's 4 by... Okay, so this was 4 1/4. So this is good. So all I gotta do is cut 1/4 off. So I'm gonna cut this 1 3/4, and then I can just cut that 1/4 inch off to make it 4, and that way I can use that little scrap here. And you think I'm an accountant, if anyone didn't know that by trade, that I could keep numbers in my head. But I've often told my plant managers and stuff that that's why I have binders and a computer. And don't even get me started how they make fun of me counting on my fingers sometimes. They really get a kick out of that. All right, so now we're going to look for 2 more sheets of paper. You, of course, can personalize this. Absolutely personalize it if you want to choose different papers. But I'm doing exactly how I designed it. I think that will help some people seeing it that way. But if you make this and you make it different, or if you make it just like mine, I would love to see it. And you can show that to me by putting it on my Facebook group, which is my company name, Lisa Wise Designs, on Facebook. I know some people hate Facebook, but it's a really good way to share pictures and keep those like things together. Okay. Another plug that's also down below. We'll cut off the branding strip on these. So let me show this to you, Mama. But does this paper not look like the Netherlands, like, you know, the people with the wooden shoes, and
Yeah.
whatever those flowers are.
Yeah, the
Is it tulips?
tulips.
But
Yeah.
they're like closed. We had the blessing to go to Italy a couple of springs ago, and when we did, we flew back through Amsterdam, and so we bought little wooden shoes up in the airport. We were on ground, you know, so we were actually there. We didn't see any of the country. All right, so I'm going to need 4 by 1 3/4 again. So keeping in mind, kind of see how I want this to look. I think I'm going to cut it across this way. So since I don't have any of this cut already, I'm just going to cut the 1 3/4 off first.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I try to cut the smallest first if it hasn't been cut already. Go back over to 4. So of course this is the easy part, doing the matting. It's just the most time consuming, right? Because you got to cut it all. But it's so much fun playing with all this pattern paper. I love it. And I did see that this was the first non-paper photo play came out with, but they're coming out with sets. You know, May just got into her shop. I think it was a Thanksgiving set, and I know there's a Christmas one too. She might have both. I'm so excited. And then she came out with stamp sets of her own. That's a non stamp set this week. Anyway, there goes my paycheck. I think after this, I only have maybe one more thing to cut, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that before we mat this. We're going to do the back of the pullout. So that is this stripedy paper, so the back of this flower paper, this one here. Let's go ahead and cut the back of that. So I want my stripes to go up and down. So let's see, it's 4 wide by 5 3/4. So I'm going to cut the 4. And 5 3/4. Must have been a long time since lunch. My stomach's growling. Alright, so now as you remember on this, we rounded the corner, so we're going to have to do that again on all of these that we just, these little strips here that we're going to use for matting. So grab whatever corner rounder you used, go back to, and since this one has 2 sizes, remember we used 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to open those little wings out again, and I'm just going to do the top. If this has an orientation, make sure you're doing the top 2 corners. Like some paper, like I said, doesn't have an orientation, but if it does, you want to do the top because they're going to go just like this. So that's what you're going to see. So, okay. Everybody good? Any questions? All right. Everybody just working along. And you know, and I had made a bet that I was thinking a big percentage of people were probably just going to watch these videos first and then work along with them and watch them again since they knew they were available. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. A lot of people were working with Brenda. A lot of people are doing this one. Maybe that's just me wanting to see it all the way through the first time. So this one with the stripes is going to go on the back. I flipped it over. So it also needs to be trimmed at the top. So let's do that. So just choose which end you want to be top since it's striped and do those also. I think that's the last time we have to use that. So now it's just about the distressing. And I'm so happy to see that May has started distressing lately. You know, she didn't do it for a while.
Yeah,
and her last few videos, she's done it. I've just been cheering. Yay! And she started doing a little bit of scrapbooking.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think that she would do. So I was like, yay, she's a scrapbooker. I really want to do that project that she's been working on that has the it's a 12 by 12 frame, and she's making like 1 page and putting it on the wall at a time. I think that is such a cool idea, because then when you're done, you just put it in a scrapbook, but you get to enjoy it out for a while. So I have not made any, but I actually have ordered a frame.
Kathy said she goes through stages.
Yeah, that's true too. We do. And before I met Brenda, I had never done any type of coloring, and she's really inspired me. But I've kind of put that down for about a year, and now seeing her class today, I'd like to pick that back up again. So that's one reason, I guess, us crafters are hoarders, right? We don't get rid of anything because you just never know what you're going to go back to, what you can use. Losing my voice. How are we doing on time? We got 30 more minutes. Is that right? Okay, cool. All right, so let's get this matted. And like I say, if we don't get to all of the photo mats, which we're not going to get to, I knew that was going to be an impossible ask. I went through all of it in my filmed videos for you. So I just put glue on the back of this striped one, and just gluing this in place, trying to keep about 1/8 of an inch all the way around here. And that was on the back, and I was flipping this over. And then, like I say, on every one of these, I'm going to be doing this plaid. So I'm going to start at the top to make sure I don't get off, and I'm going to put a plaid, and a plaid, and then, yeah. So the next one here will be white. So you can just choose whichever one you want it to be. And of course you can dry fit them first, but I just skipped that part this time. And we only cut them this length because you're not going to see down in there. No one's going to pull this, open. So you don't have to put a whole sheet of paper, like a whole 4-inch under here. So let's see. Let me get that there. There we go. You can start to kind of see the pattern here. I'm going to put those on those. Alright, and then my last little flower. Ah, I did it wrong. I knew I was going to do it if I didn't lay it out. It hasn't dried yet. But somebody's like, no, don't do it. That's okay. I would just put one over it and cut another one if it wouldn't have come up. I was thinking real hard too. I was thinking what I had for lunch because I was thinking what's left in there. My stomach is growling. My mom makes the best chicken salad. Oh my gosh. And we had chicken salad and then some fresh vegetables out of their garden. It was so good. It's like every Southerner's dream, right?
Yeah, he said we've all done that.
Like, no! Oh, the worst thing, though, that I do is forget which side, because you're just watching TV or something, and you put glue on the wrong side of the paper. There's really no coming back from that.
Mm.
There's just not a whole lot you can do. Okay, all is well. I'm pleased. It's not
Carol said she hadn't had lunch yet.
Ooh, Carol.
Time for dinner.
You can eat while we're doing the meet and greet, probably, huh? So we've got a lot done. So all really that is left to do is the inserts here. Put it here, and we'll do a little more decorating. So let's work on the decorating part, because the inserts, I'll show you what they look like here. Like one, you can do them all simple. See, like this one is just a cut apart that I really liked. I love hanging with my nomies on the back, and then you can put your picture here on the front. So these are those 4x6 index cards that's in your kit. So if you're giving this as a gift, you might want to use a stamp set. And I use May's Action stamp set, and that says place photo here. I use that one a lot. And I cut, I think, a 1/2 of an inch down and put it here so they would know what to do. So I wouldn't do that if I was doing this for my own scrapbook, but just in case, you have those in your kit. See how this one is so cute? It's just a cut apart with a couple of stickers added to it. So those are really self-explanatory. These, get a little more involved. I'll show you, how we can put this one together along with a cut apart, and how you layer stickers together to do this. And see, this one, if you wanted to, you could put pictures on both sides and just add a sticker to it. So, all right, let's get going. If you're like me and you have a lot of paper left and it bothers you, you can cut a 3/8 of an inch strip and go all the way around here, and you can do your tab if you want to. There's lots of extras that you can do to this kit. Is that the end of this guide, I think? I think it just gives you, the actual pictures here, how it looks. It's just, there's just not a lot of pictures of the inside ones because I hadn't done those yet when it comes to this. So I will lay these out here before I get started to make sure you get a chance to see them all, since there's not a picture in your kit. And then we'll kind of move on and work on as much as we can get done in the next 30 minutes.
Terrence said, I noticed all the paper glue makes the pull work better.
Oh, good. I'm glad you noticed that too. Yes, if you only had like an inch or a quarter of an inch or something, crazy like that what people put on there, it would come apart, I really believe. But having that long piece here and then putting something over it really does give it a lot more, something a lot more substantial. Okay. Thank you, Terrence, for saying that.
Love the one on the left bottom.
Oh no, I didn't take them up. I don't know.
Like them all.
Okay, so let's see. Let's work on the front because it is fun. Now you're going to need a hole punch of some kind. If you had the We Are Memory Keepers one, I really should work for them because I always love their products because it has two hole punch sizes. There's a 3/16, which is the bigger one, and a 1/8. So I'm going to be using this one because I know a lot of you have that. And we're going to finally get to play here with the cutter parts. So what you want to do is you want to find in your cutter parts the one that looks like the ticket on the front. It's on the bottom of this one here.
Yes.
So you're going to pull this little ticket out. It says admit 1. I'm going to hit it with some ink. There. And then also here, I'm going to grab that little piece of orange and white twine. And you'll see on the front here, all I'm going to do is near the top left of that ticket, I'm going to punch a hole and I'm going to tie that twine onto it just to give it something extra, just to give it something more to it, to add some interest to it. So right on the top right of the ticket, I'm going to punch that smaller hole right there. See? And I'm going to tie a simple knot through it. I'm going to come up from the back and tie a knot. So you have plenty to tie your knot, and of course you're going to have some left to trim off. But I always like to have enough that has, you can get your fingers around. I've kind of been finding lately when I'm making a tag, the 8 inches, we were talking about that, really is helpful. Because you have a little left over you have to trim, but you got to have enough to, get your fingers around it and make those ties without struggling. So this one's a little bit longer for that. But so there's your ticket part of that, and I'm going to go ahead and trim off the edges here. That just adds some texture and something something different. Let's look at our stickers. And if you're in this class or other classes, I try to show you different ways to use stickers. Because a lot of times, like, what am I going to do with that border sticker or that sticker there? This sticker right here at the bottom, we are going to trim off, let's see, is it 4 inches? It's 3. So I'm going to take a little more than 3 inches off the sticker. And I'm just going to trim it off. And because I can't help myself, I'm going to hit it with the black ink here. And then I'm going to turn this around just so I can work with it better. And I'm going to put this border right on the bottom of that gnome paper. And then I'm going to trim it right up to the gnome paper. Since it's just a small clip, I felt like I could pretty much do that with my scissors. So that kind of adds something extra to here and kind of grounds this here and kind of gives it a ground to this piece here because we're going to glue that right on top. And I'm sorry I keep working to the left because that's where my monitor is. So, they say when you're driving, where your hands are is where your car is going to go. Where you're looking is where your car is going to go. That's kind of what I'm doing. So I'm going to put glue just on the top piece of this ticket because that's the part that's going to glue down. And this bottom part is just going to be left open because you got 2 or 3 different levels there of paper. So it's going to kind of look crumpled if you don't do that. So I just put art glitter glue on the top part of this, and I'm going to put it at an angle here. I'm just going to glue that down right there. Okay. And then I'm going to go back to my stickers. And I decided I didn't like all this extra white space here. And I got a couple of bees. I have one bee coming from the left, one bee coming from the right. And so you can hit it with some ink because it's going on white paper, so that'll kind of help it stand out. And I put one here, like it's coming toward him, and then the one going in the other direction. I kind of had it sitting here on the little mushroom with him, like that. Cute. Is everybody loving this so far? I love it. Okay.
Sarah said that she put her stickers on chipboard.
Oh, make it stand up.
Yeah, gives it more stability.
All right, you're going to grab this larger tag. I'm going to go ahead and do both tags. Let's go ahead and do that. That would make sense. I am going to take this out. If you have string in yours, I'm not going to use that, but you can keep it. But we are going to use a little bit of that string in a minute. And we're going to use one side of the small one because it's going to be glued down. So I'm just going to get the edges of that one on one side only. And the bigger one, it's going to be a pull out, so you're going to see both sides. So I'm going to hit it really quickly on both sides of this one. I think this one I have to trim down, I'm pretty sure. So let me look at that. Yeah, for sure. Hey, Latte. Latte wants to be in the video, my sausage dog. She's visiting at the door. So on this larger tag, you're going to cut 3/4 of an inch off the bottom. So in total now your tag should be 5 1/2. Alright. Got to good with that? Latte. She's probably like, y'all been in that room a really long time and not paying any attention. So grab your project. I'm going to pull it back open on the back here. And we're going to put down this smaller tag here. And if you wanted to put a photo here, you could on the sample here. I put this beside it. I put, place photo here, and then I put that really cute sticker there that says carefree. So you might want to wait. Of course, you might want to put your picture there and then put the sticker over it. But that's what that side would look like. Makes sense? That's simply all I did on that one. So let's work on this one here, the tag. We're going to work on this tag now. This one that we just trimmed down. We're going to layer it, which is one of my favorite things to do with tags. So this tag is already a tag per se in your ephemera. It's already in a tag shape and it already has a hole in it. So I'm like, hello, perfect. So go ahead and punch that one out. So what we're going to do is put this one on top of this tag. It's so bright in here. And we're going to run our black seam binding. I could not think of what that was. It's actually seam binding. So that's where your seam binding is going to come into. Okay, thank you. And then before we put it on there, like on one side, I cut it's right at 3 1/8 is how these tags are made. So I cut a 2 7/8 border. I know people won't like that. 2 7/8 wide by 4 7/8 tall is what I did here, and that's what I'm going to do on the screen one. So this you can put down there, and you can put the sticker here. I'm going to go ahead and do this front piece so that we can finish this tag. So it's 2 7/8 by 4 7/8, and it's that green. Let me see if I've used that yet. Yeah, it's the back of this tulip stuff here. 2 7/8, which is 1 away from 3. I say 3 7/8. I'm telling you, I can't keep it in my head. No, it was 4 7/8. I didn't cut it yet. Here we go. Here we go. Is everybody running out of energy? I know it's the end of the Made It Con first day. I know there's some people probably like, whew, Lord.
No, Carol says that she's just watching and going to do the kit this weekend, watch the replay. Everybody else is working.
That's probably what I would have done too.
Terrence said that when he put his paper on his box, it became more substantial, and he liked that.
Wonderful. It will, as you put more and more layers on it, it's definitely going to feel a lot more substantial.
No, Terrence said he wants to keep going another hour.
Well, Terrence, you'll have to tell me if you think something like this would be done fun live. I've got some ideas for kits and ideas for projects that's not kits, just to craft with people. I'm not even telling you what I'm doing. And I want to do that more. You know, I've never really done lives, and I want to get into it, especially now that we've done it for Made It Con. And people like those. I mean, I like watching May live and hear the banter and the back and forth. So maybe people would like that, you know, for my stuff too. I took this tag that I just put this piece of paper on, and this tag that came in the ephemera pack on top of it, and I took this black seam binding, and so you have just enough. It should probably be 8 inches, as that's my normal cut. And I folded it in half, and now this loop, I'm going to go from the front, and I'm going to push it through. I like to use a pencil. And now you've got your loop coming out of the back. So open up that loop, put the tails inside. Ugh. See, that's why you got to have at least 8 inches to get your fingers in there, and then you can pull it through. Easier said than done sometimes. There we go, like that. Now my favorite way to end or to trim down something like this to ribbon tail it is I take the end of the ribbon and I fold it in half. And let me get my white paper. I fold it in half. I take my scissors. I start from the outside bottom at an angle up toward my fingers without cutting my fingers, and then I trim it. And then you have your ribbon tail here. Of course, that's not a perfect ribbon tail. But then I like to fluff it out and kind of make it look rough anyway. But that kind of gives me a good shape. Again, I fold it in half. I take my scissors, starting on the outside bottom, angling up toward my fingers, and cut. Like that, okay? That's kind of like the way I like to finish it. So let's finish this one off by using some of our scraps. And we're going to cut it 3 1/8 because I want it to be the exact width here, by about 1/2 inch. So let's see what I've got. So just dig through the scraps you've already cut. On this one, like I say, there was not near enough of this paper. I used it for everything. I'm going to use it right now. And I'm going to cut it. I need a 1/2 inch strip. I need 3 1/8. Okay. Distress the edges there, and then this is going to see what a big difference this is going to make by grounding it. Look at those 2 different tags. By putting this at the bottom, giving this kind of a ground to sit on. Oh, she's been good this whole class.
Yeah.
Usually what happens, my sausage dog, she likes to stand at the back door because she's so short, of course. Being a sausage dog, she can see out the long door to the backyard. And when somebody cuts the grass, or when the grandkids to my back door neighbors come to visit, she thinks she's doing something by barking. Stickers. There's tons of these stickers to choose from. How much I cut off the tag? I cut off, I think I cut off 3/4 of an inch. Let me make sure. It's still in my garbage. Yes, I cut off 3/4 of an inch to make the tag 5 1/2. So your tag is now 5 1/2 by 3 1/8. Right. So now you've got something grounded here, and you can also layer that with a sticker. On the bottom of this sticker sheet, there's a ton to choose from. And so I chose, oh no, you didn't. That's just because I can hear my child saying that, or my nephew saying it. But there's like 8 to choose from. So that is one of the reasons too. You see this green here that I chose. You see the background paper, how it matches it. Yeah, that's not oxygen. But anyway, you could have chosen any paper to put behind it. But that's just kind of how my brain works. And that's probably why I don't sleep at night. I probably think too much about it. Brenda has given me that advice before. You think too much about it. It's fine. It's fine. Cute, cute tag. And like I say, how I finished the back of it is just putting another piece of paper and another sticker just at the bottom. So as you're putting this together, you can now see, I just kind of put it all together now, how this is going to fit in the front. And because of the length and how tall it is, it's going to help keep that lid on. Very cute. Okay. Are we doing pretty good? How much time we got left?
15.
Okay, I'm going to go to the very end. So I'm going to try to give you as much for your money as you can get. But like I say, don't be discouraged if we don't do, everything. You've got a whole video from the beginning all the way through the very end. And I craft continuously for 2 hours. I think I might have took one sip of water and just kept going. So it was a lot to ask to do in a class format to do that. All right, so what else do y'all want to do? Let's finish up the back of it. All I really did here was, there were some really cute cut-aparts. And one of them says, to know me is to love me. It's a green strip, so if we can find it. Yeah, it was one of those that already came cut out for you.
The cards, did you use pattern paper on both sides?
I'll show you. Now, what I did for these is I did one side is just for your photos. So that's how I did mine. And then the other side, you can choose if you want to put photos on it, like this one has 2, or if you want to fully decorate the other side, which I think, why not? You have the pattern paper. You see how this is just your pattern paper and how I've got room for a small photo, but I've layered up those stickers and paired them with ephemera. So I know sometimes people really struggle with that. My mom's even, mentioned that to me. How do I use all these stickers in this sticker sheet? How do I use all these things together? So here's another example of something I want to point out to you when you're designing your own project. You have tons of paper left. You can already see. You've got some we haven't cut into a lot, actually. You could just put one whole sheet of paper here. You got plenty, why not? But look how interesting this is, putting rainbows at the top, putting this green piece, which represents to me ground, so sky, ground, and then putting a thin 1/4 of an inch strip in between that's got those colors to pull it together, and then putting something with the same color families on top of it. How much better that looks than just putting just this gnome paper, down and putting that on top. And you could do the same thing here. You could have pieced this together. A lot of my projects I've been doing on YouTube, even though I don't need to piece it together, I am to give you this look here. So all you have to do is do 1/4 of your project in one paper, about 3/4 in another paper, and then bridge the gap with something, a thin strip there. And also, when you're pulling out and looking at your pattern papers, consciously say, this is a small pattern, this is a medium pattern, this is a large pattern. Because I would not dare use a 1/4 of an inch strip with a large pattern. I'm not going to use those big gnomes and try to make it a tiny sliver. It would not make sense, right? You're like, what is that, a belt buckle? Is those shoes, eyes? I don't know. But see, this is perfect, this dot paper. Maybe that'll help somebody too to look at that. I look for that. I knew when I did that I needed a small pattern. I needed a medium pattern. It was okay. Like here's another really small pattern. But this so you wouldn't cut a strip out of to use it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Sometimes I get off on a rant. Sorry. Trying to help and think. So a way to use this is, see, it's a little bit too long. So what I did is decided that I wanted one end to have this ribbon tail. and the other end to be straight. So you can just cut it straight or you can put it in your trimmer. And I'm going to cut the part off that says 2. Or, I'm sorry, I'm just going to cut the ribbon tail part off to make it straight on the 2 side. I didn't quite get it there. And now it will be short enough to fit on our project. And it will make sense to just have it on one side anyway, you know, because then I can ground this to the side. You know, it's not floating, if that makes sense, because that part that's straight, I'm going to put it straight up against like this black piece here so it looks grounded, right? In my mind anyway, that's what it's going to do. Even though there's a lot of times when people are showing you, like maybe how to put something together and they're doing this, they're not really teaching you or showing you or pointing out this is why you think that that looks good together, you know. Okay, so that's why I did that. You wouldn't have to cut off that end, but I did. I think that looks much better with this butted right up against the black, like it's grounded, and then this one kind of floating free on that side. Okay. I am sorry to cut it off here. We'll do a prize, and we're kind of at the end. So right now is where we would start making some of these. But like I say, you've got another video that's got absolutely how to put together all of these. I hope you've enjoyed this class. I have enjoyed it. I love this project. And you can see if you, especially if you pre-cut that paper where you could make the mechanism, like we made it in an hour, you could do that and make 2 or 3 in an afternoon, and then just spend some time decorating and matting and make some of these for Christmas. I think that'd be a great idea. Woo! Okay, so let me grab this. There's some people chatting on GroupMe. There's a lot of things on there. So I'm going to clear the history, go back from 1 to 0, to 0 to randomize. All right, so we're starting fresh. Now I'm going 1 to 25, right?
There's a question, Lisa. Where did
A
you
question?
get the something is to love me that you put on the back?
This right here. It was in the ephemera pack. It was not on these little pieces you had to pull off. You know, there was some that was loose in that ephemera pack, and it was one of those that was loose. That's where it came from. It was not a sticker. It was in the ephemera.
I think I've worn out my side. How can we reinforce it so that it continues to fold back in?
Maybe the tab to fold back in. Now you can cut another piece and just glue over that to reinforce it. But yeah, this piece right here is really easy to do that to. Another thing you might want to do is you might want to mat it. You might want to take 1/8 of an inch off each end and go ahead and put a piece of paper on it to mat it. And I did that in one of my examples. I matted this one, but some papers crack really bad. You see how this is cracking? And I didn't like the looks of that, even though it reinforced this tab. If that's what you're asking on the tab, I'm just assuming. So, but you could do that. You could mat it and reinforce it that way. You have lots of paper. See how this one I did all the way around the edge, all the way around it. So I used up like all the paper that I could.
Sue said she loved the project because your instructions was clear. Also, having the pictures instructions were very helpful.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. All right, I'm going to hit randomize, and then we are going to see who wins the next prize. It's number 11.
It's Gail.
Gail Dimmick, I think. Oh, and I've been seeing you on here. Gail, I'm so excited for you. I'm going to be sending you one of the little vacuums and one of the little stands. So, like I say, I don't have anybody's information because all this comes through Maymay. So you'll have to send me an email. Just let me know your name and I'll know why. And like I say, as long as you don't mind me having your mailing address, I'm going to send that to you. One last thing I wanted to show to you that I had mentioned really quickly at the front of this class is when you finish this project, if you do it exactly like mine, you're going to have all these pieces left over because that's what I did. I made this project, put it to the side, and then I used those leftover pieces just to make this card. And the only thing you won't have, of course, is the cardstock. And I used some orange, this orangish color that I had on there. But isn't this cute? This is called Never Ending. I always want to say Impossible, but that's another one. Isn't this very cute? I just kept layering and layering. So if you want to see this from from beginning to end. Oh, that's where I use, look at that. That's where I use one of those cut aparts. See how I cut it this way? And then I added this on the bottom to make it finish up this look. Anyway, I'm so pleased with myself. I did that months ago. You can find this on my YouTube channel. Any last questions before we go? Thank you, Renee. Carol, thank you for being here. Kathy and Terrence, I hope one day we all get to meet again. We will. This can't last forever, right? We will. We'll all get together. Cherry. All right. Well, our time is up, but you will be getting, like I said, an email from the May group with all the links to all 3 of my projects. And if you were in those classes, you may be getting the links to all of them. From beginning to end. And I will see some of you tomorrow where we are going to be working on these really cool peekaboo cards where when you open the card, it changes the picture in the circle. That is so much fun. And we're going to be talking a lot about coloring. If you've always wanted to know about how to color something, we're going to be using colored pencils as the medium and going over a lot about coloring in general. Anything before we go? Okay, Terrence, good. I'll see you Saturday. Thank you so much, Mackie. Sylvia says the accordion fold. Is there a question there? Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Tammy and Carol and Robin. Oh, thanks so much, guys. Yes, be sure to subscribe if you haven't been watching my channel. Oh, good, Kathy. I will see you in that class. All right, so we're going to go, and I'll see you in the meet and greet tonight. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.